Thank you so much for this opportunity. So, Honorable Prime Minister, almost a year now going into this leadership journey of yours. What are you most proud of?
Thank you. First of all, thank you for this opportunity. Yes, it's almost a year since I came into office. I think so far we have enjoyed a very peaceful environment, peaceful elections, the first ever joint elections, and that stability and that law and order is still here. It's important that we maintain that stability, that law and order, in order for us to have that transformation that we so desire. Solomon Islands is the third largest country in the region. By 2030, we will overtake Fiji in terms of population. We are a culturally diverse country, 70 to 80 different languages that we speak. We are an archipelago, so it is a challenge in terms of development, but there are also opportunities. And there is a lot of potential. Our challenge is to turn that potential into reality. And that needs all of us as a country to work together. The name of the government is Government of National Unity and Transformation.
What about in terms of changes? Is there anything that you would like to see going forward?
On the basis of unity and transformation, the government key policies and priorities, we have 4 key pillars. One is on economic transformation, the other is on infrastructure development, and of course thirdly unity and stability, and fourthly building human capital. We know that the labour mobility arrangements that we have with Australia and of course with New Zealand do provide that opportunity for employment for our people. But at the end of the day, going forward, we need to create permanent jobs in country. That is why it's important for us to invest in the productive sector, in the agriculture, fisheries, tourism, and of course commercial sector, as well as in the resource sector. But equally important is the need for infrastructure development, and that will help the private sector to grow the economy. So energy is also an important drive for economic development. We have one of the highest costs of electricity in the region, if not in the world. As a government, we are working to amend the SIA Act so that we can open up the energy sector for more investment and hopefully drive energy prices going forward.
You've continuously said that Solomon Islands needs the support of all development partners. Going forward, what plans and priorities are you committed to for the future direction of Solomon Islands with development partners?
Development, our development trajectory is one that will continue to help to need the support of our partners, but we have to take the lead. We have to take the lead. We have to be in the driver's seat. And our partners come in where our priorities are, and that is important. We're a country, we are an archipelago, so infrastructure development will remain a challenge. We are not a country that consists of only 2 or 3 islands, as some of our neighbors are. We spread out from the east to the west, so building infrastructure, which is critical for economic development, will continue to be a challenge. The challenge for us is creating jobs internally. There are a number of challenges apart from that. Some of our workers that are going to Australia or New Zealand, I understand some of them are teachers, some of them are lawyers. So at some stage we could experience the issue or the challenge of brain drain, like what's happening in other countries. So we need to manage that. The second challenge is, as I've said earlier, is creating jobs in country permanently. That is why, as a government, we would like to focus on the productive sector.
And one of the other development partners is the United States. Under the Biden administration, they've revitalized relations With the Pacific as well as Solomon Islands, we have the US Embassy as well here. But now under new President Donald Trump, there's been a recent suspension of US foreign aid, which will affect several key development programs, not only in Solomon Islands, but across the region. What's your view on this? What impact will this have on us?
Yes, the Trump administration, the new government in the US, has paused their foreign aid, and they have also imposed tariffs on selected countries. We acknowledge their decision. It's a sovereign government, sovereign country, but those decisions will have some implications globally, including on Solomon Islands. The US engagement with Solomon Islands is on a small scale. Going forward, I think it's important that we as a country, let's look at what we can do for ourselves using our own resources, but also working closely with willing partners who are keen to help us. The other impact that countries in the region, including Solomon Islands, will experience is the US position on climate change and their withdrawal from the Paris Agreement on climate change. This will have some impact in terms of global efforts to address climate change. It's not only climate change, there are the other two issues. One is biodiversity loss, and the other is pollution. So we have three linked planetary issues that are facing us globally: climate change, biodiversity loss, as well as pollution. Climate change is a global issue, it's a global challenge. Therefore, it requires global collective action to address. The withdrawal by the US, or the position that they have taken in terms of climate change, is regrettable. It's regrettable. It will affect global efforts to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, as well as global efforts to mobilize financing to address the impacts of climate change. Very unfortunate, because it will be countries in the Pacific, including Solomon Islands. We are the ones that will suffer disproportionately. We are the ones least responsible for climate change. We are at the end. We face the brunt of climate change. So it is unfortunate that the US has taken that position on climate change, including its withdrawal from the Paris Agreement. But we will continue to use our own resources, working with willing partners going forward to see what we can do in terms of addressing climate change by way of either adaptation or mitigation efforts.
And one of the main things that has also been spoken about is the UXOs, and that's where Solomon Islands rely heavily on United States as well. With this suspension of foreign aid, many people, especially Solomon Islanders and even across the Pacific, those that have been impacted, are worried about what it would look like, especially to address these UXOs in our countries.
Yeah, so the UXOs program, especially relating to US support, that is also an area of concern. It will also be affected. But we'll continue to work with other partners like Japan or Australia or even New Zealand that have been involved on that front. So we'll continue to work with willing partners to address UXOs, which is a critical, a very serious problem for us in the country. There are also other parts of the Pacific that face similar challenges in terms of UXOs. For us, or for all our countries, including Solomon Islands, it is a serious impediment to development. We've experienced a number of lives being lost to unexploded ordnance. So we have two choices going forward: continue to work with our partners who are willing to partner with us on that, or ourselves increasing resources to address the issue of UXOs.
So recently, Prime Minister Cook Islands signed a strategic partnership with China, and that generated a regional discussion How does your government view this evolving security landscape in the Pacific, particularly in light of Solomon Islands' own security arrangements with China?
We have security arrangements with China, with Australia, and with Papua New Guinea. And there is also a draft with Fiji, which the Fiji government is looking at. We view security, I mean, my government on Solomon Islands, we view security through a development lens. As I've said earlier, our context is important. Also, we're a post-conflict country. We are still rebuilding our country. We are facing unemployment challenges. We have a huge youth bulge. So in terms of security, we need more partners, not less. We need more friends than less, because security for us is linked in with our development needs and priorities. So we would like to work with all partners in terms of the security space. That is a security issue, non-conventional security challenge. Youth unemployment, that is a security matter for us.
Yes. When Deputy Prime Minister Richard Marles came in just this year as well, he had mentioned that there was no specific timings to when the MOU would be signed. At this stage, do you anticipate this to happen before elections?
I think what is important for us is it's important for us to take the lead. It's important for us to be in the driver's seat. It's important for us to outline what our priorities are, and then our other partners and our partners come in to supplement, to help us address those priorities. So those negotiations will continue. Hopefully, we'll come to some compromise in terms of there could be one or two differences in terms of language in the MOU. I hope we'll find some compromise in terms of language and conclude those negotiations. But caucus and cabinet will have the final say as far as our side is concerned.
Mm. Yeah. And finally, looking to the future, Solomon Islands, country that still relies heavily on aid and development assistance. Prime Minister, what kind of country do you envision Solomon Islands to be in the next 20 years?
We are scheduled for graduation from the list of LDCs come 2027. Whether we are ready for graduation or not, I would like us to graduate. This country has a lot of potential, potential in terms of our resources, natural resources. Our challenge is to turn that potential into prosperity, into progress, and that will take all of us working together. I'm very optimistic about the future of this country. I'm very optimistic, and I'm sure by working together, every stakeholder, all the citizens, let's play a role in developing Solomon Islands, in taking this country forward, so we have a better future compared to what we have now.
That's all we have time for today. Tagyo Fana, Honorable Prime Minister, for having us here and to be able to ask you the questions that really matter to our people and the Pacific as well. And we're really thankful for this opportunity for joining us on the Pacific as well. Thank you, Thomas.
My pleasure.